Welcome to the first season of the Great MeSet. Today, I am so excited to introduce you to an incredible doctor, my very own doctor and friend, Dr. Dina, who's going to tell us how we can live our best lives, especially if you're like me, a woman in the middle of perimenopause. I have worked with Dina for several years to learn how I can live well, be healthy, and have all the things that I desire in life both at work and at home. So it's such a pleasure to invite you into our conversation today, where I hope you learn a couple of tools, stories, and tips so that you can have your very own Great Me Set. Hello, welcome.
Thank you for having me. So nice to see you, Terry.
I would love it if you would tell everyone a little bit about your background and your practice in New York City and just what is your passion in this space?
Well, my practice in New York City focuses on weight wellness. I work with patients in both the spectrums of weight, people that are struggling or struggle in the past with disorder eating, overweight, obesity, and longevity. I work very closely with women that are going through perimenopause and menopause that are struggling with hormonal and metabolic changes through this time. And, I'm super passionate about helping them through this journey and making their life healthier and happier.
Yes. And I love the way that you enter this space. Like you enter it in with such grace and authenticity and just bringing all of your best self. And I can say that, you walk the walk. You're not just talking, you're actually living in the same way. And, I travel all across the country and talk to a lot of people who might follow my Instagram or newsletters. And especially women who are mid 30s or mid 40s, they have the same complaints low on energy, still climbing that corporate ladder or juggling a family at home and not enough time for self. And so part of the conversation and why I wanted to start this podcast is so that people can have all the tools that they need to truly have their best lives, but to live it in a space where they see themselves first and they take care of those needs. Because if we are not taking care of ourselves, then we can't thrive. We're just basically surviving. And so I love that you have that approachable, you know, just lens of how you have your practice. How did you get to that place where you can just have real conversations with every patient that walks through your door?
Well, I love what I do and I love my practice. I am very passionate about it and I love my patients. And, I have evolved with time. I've wear different hats at different stages of my life. I used to be in hospital settings dealing with very sick patients. I was also a pediatrician. I am still a pediatrician, but I no longer practice pediatric medicine. But we have evolved. I have evolved and I was always fascinated about wellness, eating well, staying physically active, emotionally stable. And I think through years, this became the main focus in my medical career. I became obesity board certified many, many years ago, way before it was a big boom about GLP-1s and like everybody talking about it. So I was always trying to see how we could incorporate healthy lifestyle into, you know, everybody's life. So my patients, I designed my private practice with a very holistic approach that, every patient is different. So to be able to take care of my patients and see what are their needs and help them, I have to dedicate time to my patient and get to know them.
Yeah. And I feel so much of that approach is also tied to just who you are as a person and how you live, how you raise your kids and your family, how you were raised. Can you just give us a little insight into who you are as a person? We want to know you as a human.
From Panama. I'm a very proud Panamanian. I come from a small town called Chitre, and I love the beach. I love music. I love reading. I love to be surrounded by happy people. And I'm very selective of the people that I want to be surrounded with because I refuse to have bad energy around. And
Yes.
I am a mom of boys. I have two boys. My oldest son is going to college soon, and my youngest one is a freshman. So these two boys are my life, my passion. They're amazing, and they are very sporty too. And thankfully, they like good food. So, and we enjoy time, spending time together. I am definitely a baseball mom. All I do on my weekends is drive children around several baseball fields. And in the summer, when everybody's traveling to exotic places, I am traveling to every place in the South where it's 100-degree field. So, but I'm extremely passionate about. I love baseball and I love my boys. I'm very close to my family in Panama. I travel a lot, love traveling. That's what keeps me going. Whenever, overwhelmed with life, I plan my next trip, and that's what keeps me, motivated until I get to that trip. And before I am done with that trip, I already know where I'm going next. So
Yes.
little goals in life. I love to stay physically active. I'm the person that always is going to choose to walk. And that's one of the reasons I love living in New York City, because I walk to work every day, back and forth. I run my errands walking. I try to build in as many steps as possible. I love breathing air. I love walking out of my apartment and just getting the sun and the air and walking. I do Pilates, I do yoga, and I lift weights. I don't like lifting weights, but I lift, and I think I eat very balanced and clean, and I'm extremely passionate about nutrition, and which I try to push that in my patients. And I feel life is all about balance because you need to be healthy physically and emotional. You need to take
Mm,
care of yourself to be able to take care of others and to be able to live your best life. I mean, if you are not
yeah.
present with yourself, it's really hard to be in your optimum health.
Yeah. I say this quite often. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm.
Yep.
You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. So often we think like we have to give all of ourselves to work or our family, and there's nothing left for us. And so we become unbalanced and unregulated. And there's truly no way for us to maintain good health and to thrive. So why don't we start there? You specialize in weight management. So when someone comes to you, what is their ultimate goal? How do you help them succeed?
So when, a patient shows up, they definitely have different concerns. It varies, but my approach is to focus on health, right? Weight, it's very subjective, and what somebody's perception of their weight is very different to what another person's perception is. So when I look at my patient, I look as how can I make you metabolically healthier? What is it that we need to do to get you to like feel better about yourself, you know and get you healthier and in a way that is sustainable in the long term, right? Because if a person is coming to me because they just don't feel healthy, right? Let's say they're struggling with overweight or obesity. So I know that that person is not feeling optimum because when we have an increased percentage of fat in your body, this fat causes inflammation everywhere, right? We know that inflammation is a significant cause of disease and is associated with so many comorbidities and problems. And so that person normally is not feeling great, has decreased energy, doesn't have the energy to go and be active, to work out, to go to the gym, doesn't feel good about themselves. So that interferes with their emotional health. So, I try to break it in different aspects, right? The physical, the metabolic, the emotional, and also, pay attention to what their patterns are and what is the reason this patient is not feeling great, right? Because there are many different causes. We're talking about it could be caused by emotional instability, lifestyle, because people are so occupied with work and life and catching up or overperforming or competing that you forget that you have basic needs that you have to take care of. And sometimes there's metabolic issues that are causing this, hormonal issues. So it's multifactorial, right? But always understanding that every person is different.
Mm. I love that you talked about the various factors. So sometimes we might think it's just one thing. I'm on the road too much, was my excuse for years. But I know when I went to you and you picked up that hood and you saw what was underneath the hood, you're like, no, girl, there's a lot going on here. And
And
so
we're going to
you
take care
are,
of it.
yes, and you're addressing all of those things piece by piece to help your patients, thrive. And, for those of you who are listening and might not know a little bit about my story, but I had a major concussion in 2019. And just like that, I woke up and that was my moment of when I had a great reset. When I said, I can no longer be on the hamster wheel of life. I have to slow life down so that I can be happy and healthy and have all the things that I desire. And so you are one of the many people that I went to when I got brave enough to begin to address a lot of the things. And so, for a patient who might be afraid to give you a call or to even walk through that door, you and I have talked about some of my friends I have referred to you, and they have never walked through the door. There's that true fear. What advice do you have for someone like that?
Well, first of all, when a patient comes in, the patient needs to be ready. The patient needs to be ready, cannot be forced, cannot be pushed because like, it doesn't matter. People could be telling you this is, and they want the best for you, but you're the person that needs to want it.
Yeah.
And so that's the most important thing. But, what I tell everybody is, especially like women that are, mid 40s, 50s, that we should be living our best life. And we should be aiming to that. And then don't be afraid. Don't be so hard on yourself thinking that, oh no, this is not fixable or nobody can help me. No, the reality is that there's people out there that could help you feel better, that could help you feel better emotionally, physically, get healthy, and that will like to help you in the process and have the tools to facilitate this process. You just have to be ready to ask for help, right?
Yes.
And we as humans, we are so hard on ourselves, so hard. We're the worst judge of our own performance, right? We always see the negative, we always see the bad. We're really hard at ourselves, or like we are very tough at acknowledging all the good things that we bring to the equation. So I always say, like, we celebrate small wins. Like in my office, like
Mm,
I celebrate small wins. My patients' small wins are huge wins to me, right? Because it's not how fast you get there. It's about getting there and how you get there. So,
yes.
like for patients that are like, they doubt, like give yourself a hug and work on your relationship with yourself and realize that you're worth it. That you can feel better.
Hey friends, it's Terri. You heard me say that transformation comes from both roots and rebirth. And sometimes that means finding light in our hardest moments. That's why I'm loving Lumenkind's Light Through Lost Mindful Mark Pack. These wearable reminders allow you to set an intention that will help you center, reflect, and rise. Treat yourself or someone you love. Go to lumenkind.com and use code Terry15 for 15% off your first purchase. Because even in loss, light finds a way.
Yeah. I recently read an article that says there are three things that we all have in common. This the first, we all want to be happy. Two, we all want to live a really long life. And three, we all want to just be enough. We don't want to have to climb that water, mark. We don't have to keep climbing that corporate ladder. We want to simply be enough.
Yeah.
And I do feel like a lot of your practice is that you walk in and you're greeted with a big hug. It's such this like peaceful vibe, and there's so many people with smiles. So I can see just how so many people would be like me and just feel welcome. Now, a question.
That's what we hope. Yeah.
Yes, and it's gorgeous. It's such a beautiful
Thank
space.
you. You mentioned something very important, right? Like how we all want to be happy, we want to be enough, and we want to live a long life. And that's where I focus a lot of my practices. We don't only want to live a long life, but we want to live a healthy long life, right? Because like I was saying, you don't want to live to 90 and then not be able to be independent, not to be able to, have control. So a lot of what I do is to get you healthy and make it sustainable. So you're strong at a, older age, and you're healthier at an older age, because healthy longevity it's the key.
Yeah. So when people come to you and you begin to establish a relationship, what are like the three worst offenders that people are doing that might impact their wellness or their weight?
Sabotaging themselves. People sabotage themselves. People find excuses, for whatever behavior or for the time that they allocate to their own wellness. So one of the first things is that everybody thinks they eat healthy. I can tell you that the majority of people that think they eat healthy, they actually don't. Because their perception of concept of like, eating healthy, it goes out of the window. And so that's huge. The other thing is poor sleep, right?
Mm.
A lot of my patients, I find out, because we live such a busy lives, that people are not getting adequate amount of sleep. And the other two things I would say, physical activity, because we all find excuses, right? I don't have time for, working out 3 times a week. And I always tell my patients, I don't need you to be running marathons. I don't need you to be like, 100 pounds on each arm. Like, this is not what I need. I just need you to be physically active. And it's okay to start slow, but we need to stay active. And when they tell me like, oh, I don't know, I don't have time, I have kids, my job is super busy, I travel a lot. I'm like, oh, well, how much hours do you spend on your phone? Right?
Actually, I remember us having this conversation. These are things that you asked me.
Yeah, because everybody, I mean, like here, like it's the reality. Like I could see, like as a grown up, I would ask any grown up that is listening to us right now to take the phone and check how many hours they have spent on the phone. Or like how we track our children. Like just track to see how many hours you
Track
spend.
yourself.
Track yourself, and how many hours you spend on social media. So talking about like, oh my God. And then, so when people tell me like, yeah, I don't have time, I was like, well, let's check, because I'm sure you allocate half an hour, 30 minutes of your life to like getting some physical activity in. So I would say like, those are like the major culprits. People tend to sabotage themselves.
Yeah. You'd be so proud of me. I have put a 30-minute timer on my Instagram.
Ooh.
And this is after I did 15 minutes for a couple of, days. And I was like, okay, I am using it more responsibly. So my goal now, whereas when I was at 15, I would watch it until I hit that 15-minute mark. Now the goal is to have a 30-minute mark, but never to hit it. And so I'm noticing that I'm putting my phone down more and just using that time instead, because a lot of times I was, scrolling between meetings to zone out or to have a brain break. But
Yep.
instead, it was triggering me because I was reading the headlines and I'm like, oh my God, did you see this? Then forward it to all my friends. But now I'm using that time just to take some breaths, or to take a break and a walk around my unit or up and down the stairs, and that is giving me the same brain break that I was hoping to get from Instagram.
I am
So you're
so proud of you. Yeah, can you
Yes.
imagine if everybody would do this exercise? Oh my God, we
I'm
would be
like, new
so
year, new me.
dead. I love it. I mean, forget about dry January. This is so much better. Like,
Yeah.
and if you combine it, you're golden.
Well, I want to talk about something that you helped me become aware of, and now I'm helping my friends become aware of, and that's perimenopause. For a while, I got stuck, with achieving like the look I wanted to have, like the growing muscle or just being more lean. And the result, the culprit was I needed to get on hormone replacement. And I'll never forget. This is a story I tell all of my friends. I'm just in your office and you're like, you're perimenopausal. I'm going to give you, prescriptions. Are you ready? And I'm like, no, not really. Went home, started getting on the Google, started listening to the podcast. And I was like, no, I can't. Like, there's too many conflicting reports. I'm not ready. I'm still young. And then months later, I'm in your office crying because I'm like, I have gained 15 pounds in 3 months. What's happening? And you looked at me, you're like, HRT. And it really was, and when I hit my goal weight and body fat percentage and then some, you were like, we celebrated. And I was like, well, you can tell all of your patients about my story. Get on HRT early. And you were like, Terri, I don't need to use your story because my patients listen to me.
They do.
So
They do.
oh my gosh,
I
this
do
is
love
so
your
funny.
story. I
It's
do love
so
your story.
funny, but so many people are in denial about being perimenopausal. And I was drenched every night and not sleeping. And yet still here I am not wanting to get on it. And so there's so many questions about is it right? When is it right? But, in your search for, or I should say, in your helping people to live their best life and achieve the wellness and weight that they want, you're also dedicating to helping women navigate perimenopause. So I'd love for you to share just a correlation so people could begin to hear just how much it impacts your life. From the brain fog, to weight gain. You've helped me understand it all.
Oh, I'm so happy that you feel better. And this is another journey that started several years ago when I was able always to identify when my patients were struggling, with symptoms, perimenopausal symptoms like brain fog, fatigue, lack of energy, night sweats, decreased libido, mood changes, and increased weight, right? Like
And
they
hair
would
falling. Your
have
hair's
the
gonna fall
hair
out.
falling, the skin drying, like joint aches, frozen shoulders. I mean, loss of muscle mass, you name it. Like the list is gigantic, right? And then I would say, oh yes, like I'm gonna help you here, I'm gonna help you there, but then I'll send you back to your GYN, hoping that like tell your GYN that you're symptomatic, that you should go on HRT. They will come back to me and they was like, oh, my GYN didn't want to start me on anything. They just wanted to give me antidepressants or anti-anxiety
Wow.
medication. So
Wow.
that was several years ago. And then I was like, you know what? Like, let's get comfortable. Let's start studying. And like the narrative has been changing, thankfully, because there is like amazing physicians out there that have taken all the data, all the evidence, and bring it up and to show that HRT is safe. Okay. Because all of this, all this anti-HRT culture came from a study done published in 2002. And, it brought a bad name for HRT. So the consequences is the last 2 decades of women being totally kind of like put in the corner and abandoned on like women's health, right? Because they didn't have access. Everybody thought it was bad for you. And thankfully to very good physicians out there, the narratives has been changed and we know it's safe. We know that it's totally okay. And it's better to start it at an early age during perimenopause if you're symptomatic, and that helps you to prevent several diseases. It helps with your mood, your emotional state, and quality of life, right? So then I became, you know what, I'm going to advocate for my patients, and I'm going to start taking care of this for my patients. And which I did. And I love it because, when I have a perimenopause patient that shows up to my office with complaints of increased weight gain. And I'm doing everything right, Dr. Dina. I'm exercising. I'm barely eating. I eat super healthy. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. And I feel like shit. So what is happening? Why is this fat distributing like to different places in my body? My bra size suddenly is bigger, not because my boobs are bigger, but because my back just got bigger. And then my abdomen looks different. Like, what is it? Then we do blood work on the patients. And it's like, you find that mild increase in cholesterol, mild increase in LDL in people that have had perfect lipids their whole life. And, the struggle starts with the weight. What do I do? I feel inflammation. So this type of patients I'm very passionate about because we could really help them modify lifestyle and modify emotional health and feel better, empower them to feel better about themselves. And what we know happens during this period of perimenopause, which it could be from 35 to 45 years old of age. And then menopause, we're talking about 45 to 55. And we define menopause for the absence of your menstrual period for 12 months. Okay. So this could be a long time, right?
Yes.
Stuck in this perimenopausal period for a very long time, for years. And people don't have to be feeling bad. Okay. And so we know that during this period, what happens is your hormones, your estrogen, progesterone, like decrease, then your fat accumulation increases and your muscle mass decreases. So this happens, right? So woman kind of like stressed about it, and then you see that you're increasing, that you're increasing your weight, and then people start not eating, they're restricting, which is the opposite of what we have to do during this time, because this is the time that you actually have to care about your body. You have to give your body love. You have to feed your body with good caloric energy, with like good food, good nutrition, anti-inflammatory food. Okay. So this is the time that you have to focus actually on giving good food to your body instead of restricting. Because if you're restricting, then your body's like hibernating and it's going to hold on to that fat and keep it there because it's going to say, oh, poor Terri, she doesn't have access to food. So I'm just going to keep all that. So all of these changes happen. And, sleep is so crucial because when somebody is having interrupted sleep, if you're having hot flashes during the night, then it's very unlikely that you're going to feel energetic during the day. So it becomes a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
And these things are definitely treatable with low dose HRT during perimenopause. So, and it really changes quality of life.
Well, I hope people just sit and hear that your hair is falling out, you're not going to sleep, you're gaining weight. There was good news in there. And
Oh,
the good
yeah.
news is the HRT works.
Yes.
and
Yes. The
it's
HRT doesn't
available.
cause weight loss. And then I want to point that out that like HRT is not for weight loss, but HRT definitely helps you, regain the energy, the mood, the sleep. And, it helps you with that fat metabolic accumulation. So that part definitely, and it gives you more energy. And when you feel good and you have energy, you're more motivated to exercise. So
Yeah.
it definitely plays a very positive role in a woman's perimenopausal life.
Yeah, and that's just part of the formula that I learned from you, you know? I'm now focused on having my collagen and my coffee or smoothie and making sure I'm having the right supplements. It's that balanced
Protein,
approach. Yes, protein.
protein, protein, protein.
You taught me to have a protein shake right after I work out, and I do it every time. I take it a solid core with me from Pilates, so I can have it when I'm walking in the car.
Protein is key. Muscle mass is key during perimenopause and menopause because you want to be strong and you need muscle to have a healthy longevity. You need muscle to prevent osteoporosis. You need that muscle mass for everything.
Well, okay, enough. That was enough of girl talk. But if there's some
Oh,
guys out there listening, I want to talk about something that would benefit both the ladies and the guys. Let's talk about alcohol intake. That is
oh,
something that I have worked on for a long time. I'm from Louisiana. I went to an SEC school, go Tigers, and I'm a lobbyist. So, wait, actually, I was going to say I've been, in the party zone for a while, but true story, in Louisiana, when you're teething, your parents and your family, they'll take their little finger, dip it in bourbon, and rub your gums with it to soothe your gums.
so
So,
they start you early.
long history with alcohol. But over the course, I'd say over the last 2 years, I've become more aware about alcohol intake and how it impacts me in perimenopause. And I just completed my first dry January ever. I went to Washington Mardi Gras in DC and did not have a single sip. So we've come a long way, baby, as they say.
Yes, we
But
have. Yes, we
but
have. Remember
how
when I was
has
telling you to mindfully drink your
one?
alcohol? Mindfully, how do you have to enjoy, take your sips, put your glass down, have a conversation, and don't be walking around with your glass socializing because then you're done with that one and then they fill you up the next one and you don't even realize it.
And it's true. I remember so vividly being at a friend's birthday last April across from you and thinking like, I can't order another one. She is right here looking at you. No,
Drink police.
but I also watched you have your one drink that whole time we were there, which is about 4 hours. And so, again, you are, walking the walk and I love it. You're such a great example for all of us. But alcohol does have a huge impact once we
Does.
get
It does.
to middle age, no matter your gender. Can you just give us a little bit of the impacts of it if we truly are trying to live our best life?
Yeah, I mean, alcohol definitely is associated with a long list of cancers. It has been reported. It came out last year. We have known that for a long time, but it was made official. Also, it ages you significantly. For metabolic health, alcohol is not the good guy at all. It make you feel good. You might enjoy your drinks. And I never say to my patients, no, you cannot drink, right? Because if that gives you pleasure, I mean, God bless you. But let's do it mindfully, right? Because you don't need to have 6 drinks. I mean, you could have one, you could have two, and really enjoy it and drink it mindfully. But because we know that alcohol causes inflammation, it disrupts your metabolic health, it's a bunch of empty calories, right? Disrupts your sleep significantly. The only thing you have to do is monitor your sleep. Either track it with Aura Ring, with an Apple Watch, with a Whoop, whatever. Monitor your sleep quality after you drink. And that's
Mm.
clear. I mean, your sleep quality goes down huge. So, you have all of these things that alcohol does to impact your quality of life. So you got to be mindful about it. Really,
Yeah.
really mindful.
So we're gonna sip, put the drink down, talk to our friend before we slurp it down.
Uh, so that way you're
Well,
doing it mindfully. You're enjoying your drink instead of shoving it down.
yeah. Well, I want to talk to you about one more thing. I've just really enjoyed our conversation. We've talked about our minds and just brain fog with perimenopause. We've also talked about our body, making sure we fuel ourselves appropriately, get enough sleep, mind alcohol. But I also want to talk about that soul piece,
Right.
like taking care of our soul, because that also impacts our weight and our overall wellness. Now, if you follow Dr. Dina on Instagram, you'll see her lifting weights at Pilates, at yoga. You truly enjoy, I shouldn't say always, but that it is a part of what is necessary. And you and I have even talked about our desires to meditate and just really lean inward into that intuitive place. What do you tell patients, when you're looking at their holistic point of view? What advice do you give them about that soul piece?
Oh my God, the soul piece, it's crucial. I mean, it's it's what drives
Mm,
everything, right? And it's hard, and everybody has to have like their own journey, but it's so important to try to be in peace. And sometimes, because life is complex, sometimes we kind of fall off the wagon, but like you have to have the ability to put yourself back in.
mm,
Um, I always tell my patients that they have to find their me time. Their me time is super important, and people could do it in many different ways, right? For me, my me time is super early in the morning. I like to wake up. I wake up before my children wake up, before the dog wakes up. And I like to have my coffee in a quiet place. That's where I sneak in my meditation or my breathing, and then I could focus a little bit on reading or in me, just sit down with my
yeah,
coffee. And that is my own me time that I need to start my day recharge. Right. And for some other people, it could be different, right? Like you wake up and the first thing you do, you decide that you want to do your workout and that boosts energy, or you need to go for a walk and have sun come into your face or breathe. I mean, you got to find what works for you. Okay.
yeah.
But that, whatever it is that helps you like nourish your soul.
Yeah, and don't get
Super.
that confused with self-care because a mani and
Oh,
pedi
different. That's
is not a
different.
me set.
No,
Happy
no,
hour with
no,
your girlfriends, not a
no,
me
no.
set.
Going for a
Yeah.
manicure, pedicure is not like taking care of your soul.
It's a
And
task.
it is, and I enjoy it. But when I'm getting a manicure and pedicure, I'm always like working, reading this, chatting, like
Same.
multitask. But I have found that my very protective soul time is really early in the morning when everything else is quiet and it's just me and me.
Yeah. Well, I want to know, what else do you have before we close? What are you most looking forward to this year?
Oh, I have a lot of things that I'm looking forward this year. Um, First, I'm very grateful. I think like I'm very grateful for life, to be able to be surrounded by amazing people and to be able to do a job that I love. And I'm very grateful for health, for my family, for my children. And health is the most important thing. But I love projects, I love challenges. So this year, you know how passionate I am about collagen. So stay tuned. My own collagen line that I've been working for the last 2 years. It's coming out soon and it is going to be amazing. And it's made with a lot of love and science and precision. So hopefully you get to try it. And that I'm working in some projects to help perimenopausal and menopausal women boost their nutrition and nourish their body. And I'm working on a lot of things. And I'm hoping to sneak a lot of travels in between. Oh,
Yes. And I saw on your Instagram, you recently were part of a documentary that you filmed. Can you
oh
tell
my
us about that,
God.
or is it too
Yes.
early?
No, I think I could tell you. So I'm very excited to be part of that documentary. And these two amazing people, these two monks, located in Dallas, and their ashram is in Dallas, are developing a docu series on perimenopause and the impact that perimenopause could have in women's life. And what I love about this is that these are monks and that filmmakers, and they live a very clean and peaceful life, but they actually experience what perimenopause could do to you. And that just shows you that it could happen to anybody. It could happen to any woman. And they're doing such an amazing job bringing this to light, and it's going to empower and educate so many people. So stay tuned. It should be coming out this year. They're doing an amazing job, and you could check them on Instagram. It's called Balance. That's going to be the name of their docu-series. And, like, if you want to contribute, go ahead and contribute, but it's going to be amazing. And I so respect and admire these two women that are developing this docu-series. So, yeah.
Okay, we're almost done with this episode. But if today's episode sparked something in you, don't let the inspiration stop here. Head over to movementmakercollective.com, where we celebrate stories of bold change makers, purpose-driven leadership, and joyful transformation. You'll find blog posts, resources, and reflections to keep you grounded and growing. We got to keep those roots rootin'. So if you're ready to build a movement or just need a soulful check-in, we got you. Continue your rebirth at movementmakercollective.com.
So this is my last question for you. I decided to call this podcast The Great MeSet, which was the title of my TEDx talk. And to me, a MeSet is truly taking a moment to focus on yourself so that you can have those soul moments where you are refueling yourself and just having a TV timeout so that you can live a more impactful and joyful life, which will allow you to leave the legacy behind that you desire. Because our legacy isn't tied so much just to our job or our families, but it's the being that we are and how we make people feel. But I think something very crucial to having those MeSets are people who can hold you accountable. And for many of us, those are our girlfriends, the people who send us the text messages to hype us up. And you have some beautiful relationships with some of your female friends. I'd love for you to talk about how that allows you to stay healthy and to live in a more mindful space.
Oh, absolutely. My very close group of friends, they're my family. They are my rocks. And, there is the people that pushes me to be better, to encourage me, to give me that. Sometimes you need that boost to go ahead and take the next chapter, go and open your private practice, and you could do it, and empower you or me for that matter. And it's so important because, to surround yourself of good friends, it's probably the biggest treasure you could have in life, because that's your chosen family. And we all need people. We all need,
Yeah.
yeah, we all need people, and we all need the right people that give you love without asking for anything, and just love back. And
Yeah.
that's very important. And I am very, very lucky to have an amazing group of friends that, they're the rocks.
Yeah. I often like both your post and Dr. Rocio's. Well, that particular friendship, I love the way that you two, even though you're in a similar space, you're not competitors. You
Oh
are like
no.
allies for each other and you love
Yeah.
each other. And it's
Oh,
so rare that as women, we see ourselves in the other and want what's best for that person. And so you two embody that beautifully. So I invite people to follow the way that you two share each other's stories on Instagram, because you are definitely role models to many of us.
yeah. Oh no. Yeah. She's my sister. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
And,
clear.
and and we definitely, we're here from each other in the goods and the bads. And yeah, there's no competition. There's pure love. We cheer for each other. We celebrate each other's wins, and we plan to grow all together. So
Yeah.
far it's good. We also argue, right? Like any sisters, we also argue, but we know that our friendship, it goes above everything else.
Yeah, that's what sisterhood is all about.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for your time today and for allowing me to be a part of all of your sisterhood. I've got to hang out with you all so many times. And just for caring for me and your patients in the way that you do. I know that today I'm a much healthier person. My numbers show it, but also I feel
Numbers
it
do show
here.
it.
I feel it here because I'm able to focus on myself, mind, body, and soul. Because of many of the tools that you've shared with me, you've shared with everyone today. So I hope people will follow you on your Instagram. Will you tell us what it is?
Yes, it's at Dr. Dina Peralta.
And I will definitely let everyone know when that collagen comes out, and I'll be getting some for myself. Gotta make sure the skin and the hair look great. But
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's coming with a lot of yummy stuff. Hyaluronic
yes,
acid, vitamin E, leucine, fun stuff for the muscle. It's going to be good.
incredible. Well, we will be cheering you on and watching all the goodness that this year will bring us. Thank you so much for being a part of the Great MeSet.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you for being such an awesome patient because I have to learn from you too. A lot.
Well, I will see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you all for listening to this very first season of The Great MeSet. I hope you leave with stories, tools, and tips for you to live a life that is more inspired, informed, and enjoyable. We'll see you next time. Hey, y'all. Hey, don't forget the content shared on this podcast is for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered professional advice. Yep, that's right. If you need medical, mental health, or other professional support, please consult a qualified expert. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't like, share, or tell your friends about this podcast episode. Of course, you can follow me at Movement Maker Collective on Instagram or at Terri B. Williams. And for all the inspiration you need to create change within yourself or to create change within your community, you can start a movement by just typing in movementmakercollective.com. I promise there are tools, strategies, and tips to help you be a change maker in the world. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll chat with you next time.